Torrez, how you feeling, man?
How you doing today, Alex? Man, I'm happy to be here. Happy to be here with a W. Granted, it wasn't the performance that I obviously wanted. It's still fresh, obviously, but any way you can come out with a W, no better lesson learned than an ugly W. I'd rather have a ugly W than a good L.
Talk me through the game plan and what was supposed to happen and what happened.
One, we was really confident in my area, obviously getting it to the ground. I felt like I was the better grappler, no question. He did some things better in situations than I expected, but also there was a lot of missed opportunities for me on the ground, and I didn't take advantage of it. There's a lot of things I got to grow on. I think I gave him too much confidence in areas, and I didn't execute.
The biggest critique coming out of this fight is you did not throw ground and pound. Was there a reason for that?
No. The plan was to throw ground and pound. Maybe I was in this fight, I was too much position over obviously striking. Usually you hear the position over submission, but I was too much position and not looking for openings. And there were sometimes openings that I didn't take advantage of, and I don't know what it was that was holding me back, a mental block, confidence. But, man, there was so much left to be desired in there for myself. I did not like.
Was it maybe like, maybe your mind thought like you would throw and he'd get back to his feet, or was it just like you just wanted to hold him there?
No. Like I don't come here to get decisions. That's never been the goal. Look, out of my now 11 fights, I only got 3 decisions. So I looked to come in here and get a finish. But it was just showing that I had positions where I didn't execute. I didn't look for my positional presence like I usually would. I threw in areas, I think more in that second round. But I don't know what was holding me back in those areas. And again, taking no credit from Valentin. Valentin did a lot of good things. He had a good game plan. He did some really good things in positions in the scrambles. I didn't do what I usually would do, like me taking them towards the cage. Guys get up on me in the cage. Rarely do guys ever get up on me in open space. And I don't know what was making me slam him near the cage. Probably from me watching film and seeing things that he wasn't as good of a cage grappler. I mean, congrats to him. He did a lot better today, obviously, as you saw in the fight. So,
For sure. Obviously, you fought in the Apex 3 times. Now it's your 4th time. Was there octagon jitters, or was it just, I don't know, just kind of just a weird performance?
I would say it was a weird performance. That was a dud, in my honest opinion. It happens. I ain't gonna lie, I felt great. This is the best I felt going into a fight, just was a dud. And heck, I felt way worse than this going into a fight, and I've had incredible performances. So, it's just the night sometimes. And tonight was that one of those type of nights. Like I said, came out with the victory. Yeah, that's the main thing, but just got to grow. I've only been fighting since October of 2020. Heck, my coach was just telling me, less than 5 years, you're already in UFC and a UFC win. Take that. We got to run with it, but we got to grow from it. And that's one of those things that I'm going to do. I'm going to grow from this. This isn't I'm acceptable of this because I won. I'm a perfectionist, man. I care about the W. That's the main thing. But I care even more about my performance, because even a better performance secures that W. Like, I hated the fact that I'm sitting there in the cage and I'm hearing a 30-27 Valentin. Like, it shouldn't have been there, no question. I question that, but then again, look at my performance. I gave the judges an opportunity to even score that. So I got to do better on my part.
When those scorecards were read, were you like, what's happening right now? Or like, did you in the back of your mind like, shit, did I throw that away?
In a way, I thought, like, man, I just effed this up. I really did. But my corner, we were really confident. We had the first 2, but like they told me in the third, go finish. And, I didn't execute in that third like I should have. I let a lot of bad, I don't know, man. The performance, I let the things maybe get to. Maybe it was UFC debut jitters, I'm officially in now. So maybe it was the jitters, but I got to grow from this.
Well, thank you for your brutal honesty. I know it's, you got this win, and it's hard to talk about a performance that you won in. Like, you're right. You got the dub no matter what, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what's the rest of the year kind of look like? You were very, very active last year. You took a break, rightfully so. What do you want your year to kind of look like?
Man, heal up, turn around. I want to get on that Atlanta, Georgia card. That's my hometown. I'm from Macon, Georgia. That's an hour out from Atlanta. I want to fight in Georgia. That's my hometown. Probably with a little energy from the crowd and things of that nature. That definitely would probably help me. But, yeah, let me fight in my hometown. Let me have my people behind me, and I guarantee you I will put on a better performance in that.
And then just finally, please stay off social media. It's a very toxic
I know.
thing right now.
I know. Look, I ain't gonna lie to you. I can read it just to laugh at. Things like that don't really get to me mentally. I mean, look, I had Dana, so I get decimated. So, and I come here and get the victory. Now, it ain't leaning too much on my side from that statement after this performance, but I definitely will get better from this. And yes, these are the type of challenges that I faced in my entire life. Not every single time when I step into the cage, the mat, the football field, did it always go perfect. But there's one thing about Torrez Finney that you'll learn is no matter what type of trials and tribulations, he's going to find a way to come out on the other end. And this is just another one. Funny enough, it comes to a W, which is what we want every single time we step into that octagon. But there's going to be a growth from this, and I will get better.
And finally, for me, can we put this myth away that you can make welterweight? Everyone's like, well, why is this guy fighting middleweight? And you've said it multiple times. You've taken the scan at the PI, and
yep.
Can you explain it?
Yes. So I went to the PI. The PI has done testing on me. Like, I literally was out of camp. I was 221, and they did my body fat percentage. I only had 12% body fat at 221. Ideally, they want to have you around 5 or 6% when you cut all the way down. They said for me to make 170, like, I couldn't even look at a weight. And the thing is, I didn't even lift much weights throughout this training camp at all. So, I don't even know, I literally would have to lose so much for me to even get close to making 170, let alone, actually making it. It would be a push for me to make 175. So, the 170 thing is definitely a challenge. We've already done the testing for it. I just got to get better at where I'm at. And, you got to remember, I'm a football player, man. We're going to grow from this. We'll grow from this.
Congrats.
Thank you very much.
Just a couple kind of piggybacking off what he said. When you look back at your career before you came to the UFC, you were getting lots of finishes. There were lots of things. Could it be the fact of just the level of the competition has stepped up in the UFC, or do you feel like something has changed mentally in the way that you're approaching the fights from when you were before the UFC?
Could be a combination of both, but I'm still approaching it the same way. I have to also understand, these guys are training really hard for me as well. They're training for what I got coming as well. So I'm training hard for them. I respect Valentin. I don't know. Maybe I gave him too much respect in areas once I felt him. But I had so many positions, dude. I don't know what held me back for some reason. But, again, I'm going to grow from this. Yes, you could probably say to step up in competition, but I go with this type of competition all the time in training camp. I had a blessing and opportunity to go with guys like Rodolfo Vieira, Phil Rowe, a lot of those guys at Fusion XL, my teammate Trevor Peake. I go with UFC guys sometimes when I come here to Extreme, and I'm able to compete with those guys, and I'm right there with them every single time. So I think it's more of a just getting comfortable. As I said before, I've only been fighting MMA for 4 years. Yeah. So I have to continue to grow in areas. Most guys in 4 years, sometimes they might be just turning pro. Yeah. So I was fast-tracked really quickly. I had some tough fights on the regional scene. Obviously, I had tough fights on the contender series. So it's not like I'm not battle-tested or proven. It just I have to continue to grow at the age of 26.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I'd seen online, was just the fact that people felt like you were fighting to win. You were fighting to not lose, as opposed to fighting to win. Like when you were holding on some of those positions. And I know the commentary talked about, when you were fighting a guy that's very dangerous jiu-jitsu, the last thing you want to do when you're holding a position is to give him an arm or give him something like that, so when you try to throw some of those punches. But did you feel like there was ever any point where you were that it was a mental thing, that you were trying to hold on to get the win as opposed to trying to go for the finish?
The first round, yes, I'm trying to go for the finish. Second round, I definitely was. Third round, being honest, yes, I probably was trying to hold on to win. I did feel like I was up 2-0. And now, if the finish presented itself, I definitely would have went for it, but I don't know what was, again, the third round. He was very active. He was moving in positions. He did what he had to do to get the W for himself, but that third round, yes, honestly, yes, I should have done better in finishing.
And I know, and you said you want to fight in front of crowds, and I know a lot of people have criticized the Apex for not motivating fighters, but you do feel like that would be a big difference if you had a crowd that can kind of help pull it from you?
1,000%. If I had all my people from Georgia, rooting for me, I definitely would step up. And I can't have that be the motivation behind it. Obviously, you got to fight whether people are for you or not for you. But I definitely could have hearing that "Let's Go Finney" sometimes can definitely put some push behind you and make you go forward.
Are you from? I want to make sure. Are you from Chattanooga area?
No. That's where I train at.
Okay.
I'm from Macon, Georgia.
Okay.
From Georgia.
Because somebody was asking me to ask you if you saw that the Chattanooga won the NIT tournament. And if
Yes,
that
I
was something
did.
that you were
Yes, I
hyped
did.
about.
So I went to college at University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, and yes, I saw that UTC won the NIT tournament. So that was a part of the week. Funny enough, they win by 1 point. I win by a split decision, so we both barely edged it out in our respective sports. But main thing, we got the W.
There you go. Congrats on the victory.
Thank you very much, brother.
Just one for me. You're a huge dude. Like, how much do you walk around at? What weight?
So out of camp, I'm around 220, sometimes 225. In camp, I get about 215, between 210, and slowly died down from there. But I'm a occasional 220, 225.
Was it a tough cut this time? Pretty easy?
Actually, this is the best cut I ever had. That's what I'm saying. Like, best cut, best camp. I felt great. I really felt really good going in there. Like, just a dud of a fight for myself. If anything, like, I know I had that second Contender Series fight. Wasn't the prettiest, but I definitely think this one takes the cake. Not because it's recent, but there was just so much left to be desired for myself in this.
Well, a dub is a dub. Congrats, man.
That's right. A win is a win. That's the main thing. I want to thank y'all very much. Thank you to UFC for giving me this opportunity, and I will be better. I will 1,000% be better.